Hi there, in today's video we're going to be going over the sine rule check from last week's lesson. Okay, so we're going to use our formula that we've seen last week, which is the sine rule formula, so A over sine A equals B over sine B equals C over sine C. We're going to use that for all my questions, and we're going to work out how to calculate a missing side x, and also later on we're going to look at how to calculate a missing angle x. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to look at these first two questions, and they are missing side questions. Okay, however, the first thing we do, no matter what type of question it is, we're going to finish labelling our triangle. So opposite angle A is length A, opposite angle C is length C, opposite angle B is length B. So I'm going to write my formula out. Let's try that again. A over sine A equals B over sine B equals C over sine C. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tick what I know and what I want to find out. So I know the angle at A and I know the angle at C. I also know the length of A, that's 15. I don't know the length of C, but I want to find that out. So that's what I'm also going to tick. So you can see with this question, it's the A's and the C's that's going to be important for us. So I'm going to rewrite this just using A's and C's. So it's going to be A over sine A equals C over sine C. Okay, so that's me put my ticks in to work out what two I'm going to be using. Okay, so you always ever use two parts of this when you do the sine rule. So A, that's going to be 15. Sine A, that's going to be sine of 57. That equals length of C, which is x for us, over sine, and it's going to be 68 degrees. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite this just by putting the x part on the left hand side. That's how we normally like to see our questions. Over 15 over sine 57 degrees. Okay, and I'm almost there to get my answer. What I need to do is I need to get this sine 68 over to the other side, and how I do that, because it's dividing on the left hand side, it's going to come over and it's going to multiply. So if I do that, that's going to give me x, not over anything anymore because I've moved the sine 68. Let me try again. X will equal 15 over sine 57 multiplied by sine of 68. Okay, and if I type it into my calculator, I get 16.5830. And if I round that to two decimal places, I get 16.58 centimeters. Okay, so that was the length of x for the first question. Okay, we'll now go back up and look at the second question. So you'll see the only thing that's different at the starting point is I've got different letters, so I'm going to just label them differently. Okay, so opposite angle D is going to be length D, opposite angle E will be length E, and opposite angle F will be length F. So again, let's rewrite what our formula is going to be. So it's going to be not A, B's and C's for us, it's going to be D, so it's going to be D over sine D equals E over sine E equals F over sine F. Okay, so you can see the formula is the exact same, it's just written with different letters, okay, just suiting our question. We're going to tick what we know. So I don't know D, but I want to find the length of D, so I'm going to tick that. I know the angle at D. I don't know anything about the E's, okay, whether it's the lengths or the angles, but I do know the length and the angle at F, so I'm going to tick both of them. So it's going to be D's and F's that this formula is going to be using this time round. So again, I'm going to write that D over sine D equals F over sine F. And we're going to put our numbers in now. So D, that was X over sine 44. And that's going to equal the length of F, which is 25, over sine of 77 degrees. Okay, so again, we're going to take this on the other side. Okay, so X is going to equal 25 over sine 77 multiplied by sine of 44 degrees. Okay, so now we're at the stage where we can put this into our calculator. So X will be, this is what I get in my calculator, 17.8232. And if I round that to two decimal places, I get 17.82, and it was meters this time, due to the sizes in my question. Okay, so there's two examples that I asked you to answer, and you can give yourself marks on how to calculate a missing length. We're now going to look at these two questions, which is how we calculate x when it is an angle. Okay, so a missing angle using the sine rule. However, first step always remains the same. What we're going to do is we are going to label and complete our triangles. Again, I've been given the sides A, B, and C, so we should know how to label by now. We've had a bit of practice at it. So it's opposites. I'm then going to write the formulas down. Now, what the formula is A over sine A equals B over sine B equals C over sine C. The problem with this question, not a problem, it's just what's happening with this question is our job is to find the angle at x. Okay, so if you remember, your capital letters are your angles. So it's going to be the C part, but it's capital C, it's not small c, okay, because I know my length of C. So I want to work out a capital letter. Now all my capital letters are at the bottom of fractions, it'd be easier if they were at the top. How we fix that? It's just by flipping them upside down, okay? So we're going to flip every single one upside down so that we've got our capital letters where we want them for this question, which is at the top because we are finding an angle this time. Now I'm ready to tick what I know. Okay, so I know my length of A is 18. I know my angle A is 33. I don't know the angle at C, but I want to find it out. And I know my length of C is 32, so it's going to be the two parts there which I'm going to use. Okay, let me just extend my page. So it's going to be sine of A over A equals sine of C over C. Okay, so let's put our data in. So the angle at A, that is 33 and the length is 18. So it's going to be, oh, where's that cursor went? Cursor went somewhere. Sine of the angle is 33 over 18. That's going to equal sine of x. I don't know what my angle is, so that's what was called x, and it was going to be 32, the length there. Okay, again, similar to what we've done previously on one of the questions above, we're going to flip these over, not flip them over, we're going to swap them round so that the x is going to be on the left hand side. That's how we like it. So we've done that. This then needs to move over here. It's going to become a multiply. So it's going to be sine of x equals sine of 33 divided by 18, and we're going to times that by 32. Okay, and if we do that in our calculators correctly, we get the answer 0.9682, and then there's some more after that. Now that is what sine of x is, that is not what x is. So that's why I haven't rounded at this stage, okay? I'm going to use that answer that I get in my calculator, because what I need to do is I need to undo the sine by taking the sine inverse of that. So if you're using a calculator scientifically, which you should be, it is a shift sign that we're using to get the sine inverse. Okay, so x equals the sine inverse of my answer. This is going to tell me what x is, and what I get in my calculator is 75.523 dot dot dot, and that rounds to 75.52 degrees. Okay, now again, what happens here is we round to decimal places, keep it accurate. You might get a slightly, and I do emphasise the word slightly different answer in your calculating the sine inverse depending on how many numbers you put into it. So for example, I kept the sine inverse of 0.9682 into my calculator. You might have put more numbers in, which means you get a slightly different answer. You might put less numbers in. However, the more numbers you put in, the more accurate it will be. Your answer should still be in the ballpark of 75.52 degrees there. Okay, but that's the setup we use for finding the missing angle x when I sine question. Okay, so the key parts there was label a triangle, flipping the equations, and then we just have to do the inverse sign to get our answer there. Okay, we'll do this last one so you can see what the answer was here. We'll do this one a bit quicker. So again, labeling shouldn't be too long now. We're going to keep that. I'm also going to write my formula flipped straight away because we are finding an angle, capital letter. So that's going to be d over sine d equals e over sine e. Sorry, sine e over e equals sine f over f. Okay, so I flipped them round. Okay, I'm now going to tick what I know. So again, I know the angle at, sorry, I know the length of d, and I want to find the angle at d. I don't know E or the length of E, but I know the angle of F and the size of F. Okay, so that's me going to use them. So it's going to be sine of D over D equals sine of F over F. Let's put my values in. So the angle at D is X, so sine of X over D, which becomes the length of D, so is 28, my apologies, I got mixed up there, equals sine of F, which is sine of 80, divided by 36. Okay, we're dealing with millimetres in this question. Again, we're going to take the 28 that's here, we're going to push this over and multiply it. So it's going to be sine of X equals sine of 80 over 36 multiplied by 28. Okay, again, we'll get an answer in our calculator, but we won't round it this time, so we get 0.7659 continued. Okay, there's a bit more going on, but we're not going to round at this point. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use that number I've got to find what X is. So X is going to be the sine inverse of 0.7659, which I get 49.9926. Continued. And if I round that to 2 decimal places, I get 49.99 degrees. Okay, which is obviously very, very close to 50 degrees, but the more exact it is, it was just slightly under. Okay, so there's how we work out a missing angle questions as well. Okay, so mark yourself. Okay, I've marked yours and given your feedback on OneNote. Look at this feedback so that you can see where the marks would have been and how you would have got on if you need to correct any yourself, and take a note of anything that you maybe need to take a note of from these examples. Okay, thank you.